Whether you're making a request, ordering a coffee, or having a chat with your friend, the conditional tense is a great way to make your Spanish sound smoother, friendlier, and a little less blunder direct. In this video, we'll explain what the conditional tense is and show you how to start using it right away. Let's get started. Even if you're a beginner Spanish student, the conditional tense is one of the easier Spanish grammar concepts to understand. You can think of it as a friendlier, less direct alternative to using the imperative mood, which is typically used to make requests or give orders. If you're not sure what the imperative mood is, be sure to watch your lesson right here after this video. If your goal is speaking Spanish, make sure to check out BaseLang.com, where you get access to unlimited one-on-one Spanish classes with native speaking teachers via Zoom. Now, in this lesson, we'll cover the simple conditional tense, compound conditionals, and if clauses. Let's begin. So your first question is probably, what is the conditional tense? The conditional is a structure that we use to express possibility or probability, wishes, excuses, and even suggestions or requests. It can also be used to talk about certain things we would do if a certain action happens. To simplify, the conditional covers the would have, should have, and could have. Let's start with a few examples of when you'd use this tense. You can use it to express a wish or desire. Me gustaría ir a la playa. I would like to go to the beach. Or if you're making a suggestion, deberías usar el vestido rojo, which means you should wear the red dress. You can also use it to make a request. For example, ¿te importaría si me siento aquí? Would you mind if I sit here? And finally, you can make excuses, which we all know can come in handy. For example, yo podría hacer la cena, pero estoy cansada. I could make dinner, but I'm tired. So, all those examples I listed are in simple conditional. I'll dive more into how to use that in just a minute. There's also the conditional compound, which we would use to describe an action we would have done in the past if certain conditions were different. For example, habría ido a Bruselas, pero no tenía dinero, which means I would have gone to Brussels, but I didn't have the money. And the last conditional form we'll cover is the use of if clauses, also known as si cláusulas. If clauses express a possibility or probability that something may happen or may have happened if a particular condition is or was met. For example, ella leería más si tuviera el tiempo, which means she would have read more if she had the time. You can also use it in a hypothetical situation. For example, si yo fuera millonaria, viajaría por el mundo, which means if I were a millionaire, I would travel the world. So, now that we know where you can use the conditional, let's dive into how to use it. Simple conditional tense. As I mentioned before, this is one of the simplest Spanish verb tenses you can learn. For regular verbs, all you need to do is memorize the conditional tense endings and add them to the infinitive form of the verb. For yo, the ending is ia. Tú, ias. Él, ella, ia. Usted, ia. Nosotros íamos, ustedes ian, ellos, ellas ian. That's it. Simple as that. Now let's see it in action. Take the verb escribir, which means to write. Conjugated in simple conditional would be yo escribiría, tú escribirías, ella escribiría, and so on. Remember, we have a full article filled with tables on our website, which you can find in the link in the description below. For now, here are a few more examples of the simple conditional in action. Pensé que me escribirías. I thought you would write to me. Viajaría contigo sin duda alguna. I would travel with you without hesitation. And there you have it. Now, all those examples I just went through were using regular verbs. But what do you do when using the simple conditional with irregular verbs? Well, they're treated very similarly to those in the simple future tense. So any stems that are irregular in simple future are also irregular in the conditional. But the simple conditional conjugation remains the same. And by the way, if you want to brush up on your future tense, check out our video all about future tense. In the meantime, here are a couple of examples. Tendría que pensarlo. I would have to think about it. ¿Harían lo mismo por ti? Which means, would they do the same for you? And there you have it. Simple conditional. If you're looking to improve your Spanish and love free, high-quality lessons, then make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Go ahead, click the button below. Muchas gracias. All right, next up, we have conditional compound. Conditional compound is used to express that you would have done something in the past, but a certain condition prevented it. So, things like I would have worked or they would have visited. The conditional compound consists of two parts, the verb haber in its simple conditional form and the action verb in its past participle form. So, we just reviewed the simple conditional conjugations, and the other step is using past participles. When it comes to the past participle, the rules are pretty simple. For all regular AR verbs, you use the ending ado. And for all regular ER and IR verbs, you use the ending ido. Let's go through a few examples. Comprar, the Spanish word for to buy, would turn into comprado, which translates to bought. Or cerrar, which means to close, turns into cerrado, which means closed. Dormir, Spanish to sleep, turns into dormido. And comer, which means to eat, turns into comido. So now that you know these rules and you're aware of the irregulars, you can form the conditional compound by using this structure. Haber, simple conditional form, plus past participle, plus context. You use this formula to talk about an action that was supposed to happen in the past, but something got in the way, so it didn't happen. Let's look at a few examples. Habría hecho la tarea, pero me quedé dormido. I would have done the homework, but I fell asleep. Or, habríamos visto esa película, pero tuvo muy malas críticas. Which means we would have seen the movie, but it had very bad reviews. And there you go. The last section of our lesson is if clauses, known in Spanish as si cláusulas. These are used to express a possibility or probability of something happening if a particular condition is met. If clauses can be related to the past, present, or future. An example of an if clause is, si yo tomara una ducha, me sentiría más cómoda. If I took a shower, I would feel more comfortable. In Spanish, there are 4 different types of if clauses, 2 of which use the conditional tense. First off, when both verbs in the sentence are conjugated in the present tense. Simply put, the formula for this would be if plus present verb plus present verb. This form is used when we want to express that when one action occurs, another action is performed as a result of the first. Make sense? Let's take a look at a couple examples to break it down. Si estudias, pasas el examen. If you study, you pass the exam. Or, si voy a la playa, yo nado en el mar, which means if I go to the beach, I swim in the sea. The second way to use an if clause is with the combination of verbs in the present and future tense. If plus present verb plus future tense, the result. This one is used to say that a future action will be completed if the present action is carried out. For example, si estudias, pasarás el examen de español. If you study, you will pass the Spanish exam. See the difference? Let's take a look at another example for good measure. Si limpias tu habitación, yo te dejaré ir al cine con tus amigos. If you clean your room, I'll let you go to the movies with your friend. The third way we use if clauses is with the combination of the imperfect subjunctive and the conditional. This one might sound a little confusing, but I promise it's pretty simple. It just means that if a past action was complete, then the present action would have been carried out. Here's the formula. If plus verb in past imperfect subjunctive plus simple conditional. Let's take a look at it in action. Si pudiera, viajaría a África. If I could, I would travel to Africa. Or, to take it back to the studying example, si estudiarías más, pasarías el examen. If you studied more, you would pass the exam. And last but not least, if clauses are used with a combination of the pluperfect subjunctive and the conditional. This one's similar to the last example, but this time, both the actions are in the past. The formula for this one is if plus pluperfect subjunctive plus conditional compound. This form emphasizes that one action occurred before another one, and the result of the earlier action is probably connected to the result of the second one. So, For example, si hubieras estudiado, habrías pasado el examen. If you had studied, you would have passed your exam. And there it is, all you need to know about if clauses. The last thing I want to touch on in this lesson is the differences between would, could, should, and the Spanish conditional. The differences between would, could, should, and the Spanish conditional. Thinking about would, could, or should as trigger words is a great way to remember when to use the conditional. However, it's important to note that not all of them follow the same structure when it comes to introducing an action verb. So before we wrap up this lesson, let's take a final look at how each word can trigger the conditional. Would. When would precedes an action verb, that verb will probably be conjugated in the simple conditional or conditional compound, along with the ia, ias, iamos endings we previously covered. So for example, gustaría, which means would like, iría, which is Spanish for would go, or vería, would see. And what about when it comes to using the conditional compound and would have for past actions? The same idea applies. For example, habría estado means would have been, or habría comido, which means would have eaten. Let's take a look at these in a sentence. Using the simple conditional, you could say, me gustaría visitarte, which means I would like to visit you. And here is the same idea with a conditional compound. Me habría gustado visitarte. I would have liked to visit you. Could. As I mentioned, could is another trigger word that can activate the conditional form. You could say something like, yo podría ayudarte, which means I could help you. That's one using simple conditional. But if you wanted to say it using a conditional compound, you'd say, yo podría haberte ayudado, which means I could have helped you. You might notice that the could has been activated by combining could plus haber plus the past participle. And finally, last but not least, should is commonly used to speak the conditional form. Same as the last example, should have is activated by combining should, simple conditional, plus haber plus past participle. An example of this in a sentence with simple conditional is deberías practicar más. You should practice more. Using a conditional compound, you would say, deberías haber practicado más, which means you should have practiced more. And there you have it. That's it for our lesson on conditional tense. And again, we have a full article with everything we covered, which you can find in the link in the description below. Or if you want to practice the conditional tense in real-life conversations, then feel free to schedule your first class with a BaseLang teacher today. At BaseLang.com, you get access to unlimited one-on-one Spanish classes with native-speaking teachers, all via Zoom. Try your first week for only $1. If you'd like to be a bit more firm in how you ask for things in Spanish, check out our lesson on the imperative mood. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.